Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to tell you what is analytical chemistry. Analytical chemistry. Something very interesting, something new for you people. Now the word simply analytical. It simply tells us what it conveys. It tells us to be something that is careful or systematic learning of something. Now, what is that something? We will come to know later. But for now, at this stage, you should know that the word analytical, it simply conveys us the idea that is to be careful or systematic, or conveys to be something to be learned very carefully, and is a systematic learning or systematic way of learning of something, right? So let's move on. I'm Professor Dr. Mchem from Dr.Mchem Institute of Chemistry, University of St. Jamsharo, and I am here with a new topic for you, that is what is analytical chemistry. So let's begin. Now as I begin, it simply conveys means it tells us what? Or tells us the various ways to handle or understand chemical composition of different samples. It simply makes us follow what? Various ways, that is number of ways, various ways to handle or understand chemical composition of different samples. Now you will come to know when you will study further what does that mean by a sample. You will be preparing different type of samples, then you'll come to know that what does that mean. Now various instruments are used and various methods are studied for identifying and separating, or you can say quantifying matter or defining composition and structure, right? Of what? Of matter, right? So now various instruments and methods are studied for identifying and separating, right? And quantifying, or you can say quantifying simply matter, defining simply composition and structure of the matter, right? This is its definition. This is its a little bit, you can say, a little detailed definition, that it simply conveys or tells us the various ways to handle or understand different chemical compositions of different samples, and various instruments and methods are studied for identifying and separating and quantifying matter or defining composition and structure of matter. Now there are four different simply sections. There are four different sections. What are those? These are number 1, acid-base methods. Number 2, spectroscopy. Now these words would be a little bit, seems a bit scary to you people, those who are in very initial stages of learning analytical chemistry. But with the passage of time and over months, you will come to know that how easy they were. Spectroscopy, right? Third, method is chromatography. Chromatography. All very interesting, sections. And number 4, potentiometry. 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 So these are the 4 basic sections this analytical chemistry is basically divided into. That is acid-base methods, spectroscopy, chromatography, and potentiometry, right? Now, analytical chemistry, it helps us in describing problems related to qualitative and quantitative analysis, right? What type of problems it tells us to relate with? That is qualitative, and quantitative. Now, what is qualitative? What is quantitative? I will tell you right now. I must repeat again, this branch of chemistry, that is analytical chemistry, it helps in describing problems related to qualitative and quantitative analysis. And it simply helps in identifying compounds via separation techniques. As I've just mentioned here, what techniques? Separation techniques. Separation techniques, right? Separation techniques into different components, that is, and exploring each one of them, and what is the properties, what is the proportion of that each one, right? What does it tell us? It simply helps in identifying compounds via separation techniques into different components, separating into different components, and what? And exploring the each one, EACH, each one of them. Each one of them, I will mark it, each one of them, and what is the proportion of that each one, and what is the proportion, that how much proportion of that each one, right? I've just mentioned earlier, there are 2 important branches of analytical chemistry. These are number 1, quantitative and qualitative. Now their names, they conveys us a lot of meanings of them. Qualitative, that is something to do with quality, and quantitative, that has something to do with the quantity. Okay, so these 2 are the very important aspects, right? These both are very important aspects that serves as a key role in explaining analytical chemistry, especially in the laboratories. Now, what is this thing? That is, of course, that is quantitative analysis and qualitative analysis. These are simply, it serves as a key role in explaining analytical chemistry, especially in the laboratories. Okay, now what is this quantitative analysis? So let's discuss that. The quantitative analysis, it is simple. It is the method. To find absolute abundance. Abundance means that how much of them. Abundance of single, one, that is one, or various, that is more than one, or various, what is this? It is the quantitative analysis. It is simply the method to find absolute abundance of single, that is one or more than one, that is various substances in the sample, and it also conveys the numerical information of the analyte. That is, numerical means in numbers, right? Definitely it would be having some values. Now this quantitative analysis is further divided. This quantitative analysis, now I will abbreviate it with Q analysis, that is quantitative analysis, is further divided into two further simply branches, or you can say into further two ways. That is, number one, two branches. That is, number one would be simply volumetric analysis. That means something to do with the volume, that you will make up the volume. You are going to add something to a solvent in some volumetric type of a flask, which is like this. I can draw a volumetric flask to make up the volume, right? This type of a flask is called a volumetric flask, and you make up the volume like this. You first make the solution, whatever you are making, and then you mark up to certain level, and then that is called making up to the volume, right? So this is something, a little very brief knowledge about the volumetric analysis I'm giving you, because I'm just precisely giving you the ideas that how you can define to anybody what is quantitative analysis, especially for your MCQ type questions which you are going to encounter during your pandemic exams, that is during these COVID-19 examination period, which you will going to encounter in your semesters or in your exams. So you will be getting such type of questions maybe, right? So this is now further divided into volumetric analysis, and number two is gravimetric analysis. Gravimetric analysis. Okay. So this was something, a very few lines I've explained about the quantitative and analysis, that what it is, right? The next branch, it is, of course, the qualitative analysis. Qualitative analysis. Now, what is qualitative analysis? It is simply finding the chemical composition of the sample or compound. Simply what? Finding the chemical composition of sample or compound. It can give you the idea of presence of an atom, right? It can give you the idea, that is presence of an atom or a functional group. Functional group, like, for example, different type. There are a number of functional groups you are going to study. Or a compound in your sample, right? It gives you an idea of an atom, functional group, or a compound in your sample, the sample you are analyzing in your sample. But, or you can say, it can give you the idea of presence of an atom, functional group, or a compound in your sample to be analyzed, but it can never convey exactly the quantity. It can never convey, that is, tell you the exact quantity that you will figure out when you are doing the quantitative analysis. But in qualitative, you can never figure out the quantity. So now we can understand simply that qualitative conveys what is in the sample. What is in your sample, right? What is in your sample? Whereas now the quantitative, it tells you how much that is amount is in the sample. How much? How much what? That is the amount in your sample which you are analyzing, right? So both of these two methods are very important and essential and are not frequently used together. Either you will use the qualitative method or the quantitative method, but it's very often when they use both the methods together. So I hope you find this short review of your analytical chemistry, that what it is basically and how you can define it. Can simply define analytical chemistry and what analytical means and what it conveys us, that how you can find out the various ways to handle or understand chemical composition of different samples present and various instruments, and what type of methods are studied for identifying and separating and quantifying matter, right? And I've told you now in this also that there are 4 different sections in which you can simply divide it into. That was the acid-base, spectroscopy, chromatography, and potentiometry, and how it could help you to describe different problems related to 2 type of branches further, that is quantitative and qualitative. And what is quantitative, what is qualitative, and further this quantitative analysis was further divided into other volumetric and gravimetric analysis. I never went into the details of the volumetric and gravimetric because that will make it more lengthy, and that will be a little bit difficult for you to learn each and everything. Now, up till now, you have followed how to answer your MCQs questions about your different questions regarding to your multiple choice questions regarding your analytical chemistry. If someone asks you what is analytical chemistry and what are the basics of it, you can simply give this much detail and you will get good marks, because you are simply telling everything that, of course, that this analytical chemistry has further 2 important branches, that is quantitative and qualitative, and these are the very 2 important aspects that serves as a key role in explaining analytical chemistry, especially in the laboratories and in the theory classes also. And then you have come to know what is quantitative, what is qualitative, and I've also explained you that these are not often, it's very often that they are used together. They are used mostly one at one time. So I hope you like this video and you will learn from it, and you will compare it with your books or the literature you have been provided with. Go through it in detail. These are the key points. Just go through them in detail, because it's very essential to know what you are learning and what you are getting when the subject is very new. So it is for the beginners level, it is for the initial stages of a chemistry student who should know these basics of analytical chemistry, because it is directly analytical chemistry is very much related to your organic chemistry, right? As you know that I'm your organic chemistry teacher, but I can assure you many things that I can make you teach. I can make you understand in your this analytical chemistry. There are many things which I can make you understand, because these are directly, as I've told you, related to the instruments and different instrumental techniques which are in the subject. So I would be able to help you out in at least solving your MCQ type of questions in your labs as well as in your theory classes. So thank you very much. Let's meet again in something new, something more interesting. Bye-bye.